In the morning when I'm driving, I really come alive when I listen to my Ronnie, I listen to my RonyiQ. They are rare and they are few who can compare with RonyiQ. So grab a chair, she's coming through. She's on the air, it's time for RonyiQ. They are rare and they are few who can compare with RonyiQ. So grab a chair, she's coming through. She's on the air, it's time for RonyiQ. RonyiQ. It's time for RonyiQ. RonyiQ. It's time for RonyiQ. In the morning while I'm driving, Ronnie, I really come alive when it's time for RonyiQ. I listen to my Ronnie, Ronnie. I listen to my Ronnie. It's time for RonyiQ. Take a seat and go meet Ronnie. Sweet, 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 sweet Ronnie. No day complete without my Ronnie. She can't be beat. Sweet, sweet Ronnie.
Grand Rising, Grand Rising. I hope you guys had a fabulous day. Hope your week is going well. Let's get into our news. As we know, Scott Bessent, of the Treasury Secretary of the United States, came out and said that they were infecting D-Day on the world, on the finances of the world. If you are complicit in trading with Iran, you will be separated from being able to use the dollar. Are we going to pretend that people are clamoring to use and trade in the dollar? I talked to you guys extensively about how the BRICS unions were overpowering the dollar, that more countries are looking to trade with the BRICS union. Now, what will this do? This will steer more countries to trade with the BRICS. Is he serious? And they trade in their own money. They don't need the dollar. So what in fact Scott Bessent went out and announced is that he's putting, this administration is putting a match to the dollar. That's what they're going to ruin the dollar. We've talked about this. We've gone into detail about this. But nobody's paying attention. Nobody wants to pay attention until possibly it is too late. Hey, Queen Diva, it is good to see you. Nobody's really paying attention to this. So let me share with you Scott Bessent going out here. And in the end, his final question before he sachets off the stage in embarrassment, he's going to tell you that whatever this plan that they plan to do is going to ruin the world economy. Now, y'all remember D-Day. D-Day was in World War II when they rushed the shores of Normandy. They didn't give them a heads up. They didn't tell them a week before they rushed the shores of Normandy that hey, we're gonna rush the shores of Normandy, and we're gonna come and we're gonna defeat you. No, they did none of that. So, what was this big announcement on Monday? They don't even know how to affect. If this is going to really be a D-Day, you don't give your adversary a week's warning. They don't even know who they plan to affect with these alleged sanctions against these other countries. And China has already said when they even poise having a financial economic D-Day that you don't tell us who we are trading with. If you want to do something diplomatically, you have conversations with your adversary and you work it out that way. But we're going to tell you right now that you're not going to tell us who we trade with. So that has already been pulled off of the table before it started. Now we understand that China is one of the biggest trader of oils with Iran. So what was this big announcement about? Let's see Scott Bessent tell you. Well, we made the announcement and given the people enough time to make their decisions before there's a whole economic fallout or something to that effect. So you're announcing because you stupidly went to war with Iran, who did absolutely nothing to the United States, who it was never proven that they were anywhere near having a nuclear weapon. It was never anywhere proven that allegedly they were about to strike Israel. No, first Mark Rubio told you that Netanyahu came to him and said that they were about to strike Iran. And now they have changed the story around. Well, Netanyahu said that Iran was about to obliterate Israel with nuclear weapons. It can't be both. It can't. A bunch of lies, and a bunch of bullshit. Because, unfortunately, this administration for some reason, know that the United States have a lot of stupid people in the United States that are not focused on anything that affects them and how they live their lives. He knows that he's going to be able to get a lot of this stuff by you because you're not paying attention, because you don't have critical thinking skills, because you want to set yourself apart as if you are some unique uh, refined individual when you're not. Let's get into this announcement. Uh, Thank you for buying the jewels, Queen Diva. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the 10 jewels, Queen Diva. Let me share my screen with you. As America is getting left behind and the dollar is about to plummet. Here we go. And watch all of this stammering and nervous address where he can't even barely get a sentence out, like he's choking on every word that he's saying because he know it sounds so ridiculous.
Thank you so much. Its neighbors. In the Second World War.
Hold on, let me slow it down.
D-Day marked the historic beginning of a campaign with our allies to target and drive. Second World War, D-Day marked the historic beginning of a campaign with our allies to target and drive the enemy from its positions, including those in third countries. Today,
who's helping us now? Who are our allies in this economic D-Day? Can you tell us one economic D-Day ally the United States have? No, you can't, because we have zero. What other country is putting their money and treasure up to suffer and failure in this economic D-Day? What other allies has the United States uh, have after they have ruined all of their relationships with their allies by these tariffs to try to greedily put money in the pockets of these people sitting at the top of your government, telling you how much money they've taken in, and there has been no improvement in the American life, the American state. There has been absolutely no improvement, as they're telling you how much money they have taken in for these tariffs. What has changed in America that prove that money has been taken in that has improved America? Nothing. But how much have these oligarchs and family members and this administration profited off of all of this money that has been coming in from America? Huh? Let's continue.
In that same allies to target and drive the enemy from its positions, including those in third countries. Today, in that same spirit, we are launching an economic onslaught against Iran's financial connections around the globe. Around the globe. Our objective is to sever every economic lifeline that sustains this tyrannical regime until Tehran stands alone.
The only economic lifelines that are you going to strain and cut are the economic lifelines for the United States.
Iran's fanatics devote themselves to death to America and seek nuclear weapons to do just that. They have murdered and maimed more of our citizens and service members than any other terrorist regime on earth. And they have been at war against America, their neighbors in the Gulf, and much of the world for 47 years. President Trump has taken action that his predecessors have long deferred. And under his leadership, America is no longer managing the Iranian threat. We are ending it. Our great armed forces have laid the groundwork for achieving the president's objective of preventing Iran from ever obtaining nuclear weapons. They have shown America's resolve to finally end this threat. And the strength of America's economy under President Trump allows us to wage this sustained financial operation alongside the might of our military. Iran now faces a very clear choice with only two paths before them: complete global isolation and a subsistence economy, or a path back to normalcy with an opportunity to rejoin the global economy. Today, we are launching Operation Economic Outcast to foreclose every other option available to the Iranian regime. Treasury has mapped every node, every facilitator, and every network that Iran has used to smuggle oil and evade sanctions. Beginning today, the actions of Treasury and other agencies will tighten the noose and block every potential source of revenue that funds the IRGC and the evil Iranian regime. We are enforcing a zero leakage approach. There will be no minimal breathing space for the regime to rebuild its capacity to inflict terror against America and the world. The final refuge of this regime is the mistaken conclusion of nations that still finance the Iranian threat in the hopes of evading it. It is.
My question is, when have they been inflicting any pain against America in the first place? I'm curious, when was that happening? That was happening never. But this is a bunch of bullshit and propaganda you're being fed here.
No longer acceptable to operate in the gray spaces of this conflict. Countries cannot claim they are blind to enabling this activity. Iran's enablers purchase, transport its petroleum. They facilitate the flow of its finances through exchange houses and free trade zones. They welcome Iran's flights and maintain registries on its behalf. They turn a blind eye to seaborne fuel transfers and overland transits. They condone illicit use of their banks, all the while concealing the extent of their complicity. The president is making phone calls to world leaders with specific requests to cease their interactions with the regime. We are already seeing results. Over the weekend, comments from Iranian leadership clearly acknowledged the effect of this campaign, and nations that facilitate any interactions with the regime should quickly heed our message. Those who stand with the United States will reap the rewards of our partnership. Those who tether themselves to the Iranian regime should expect to share in the isolation of a withering regime. Teams from Treasury, State, and the US military are now meeting with their global counterparts to tell them that the United States expects action.
Iran is already a part of the BRICS trading union. What is this man even talking about? You notice that your government is mum on anything about the BRICS? Because they saw this coming. They saw this coming. They want to pretend like the U.S. is the only way to trade. And they want to downplay the success and the access and the number of countries that have joined the BRICS and are trading in the BRICS, and they don't have to trade in the U.S. dollar. They don't want you to know that the U.S. dollar has already been weakened, and what they're doing now is just weakening the dollar more. And who is that going to harm? That's not going to harm all of these countries they won't trade with, because these countries have plenty of people to trade with. And they don't have to stockpile American money. They can trade in their own denomination of cash. Let's continue.
Every country has a defined timeline to shut down activities we have identified. If they do not take action, we will do so unilaterally through Treasury authorities. For example, every branch of Bank Melay must be shuttered and dark. And let me be clear, any entity that facilitates money laundering on behalf of Iran will be removed from the US dollar system. The clock just started ticking. The new sectoral sanctions determinations issued today target 5 of Iran's most vital lifelines that it exploits in other countries: digital assets, technology, gold, aviation, and shipping. These measures broaden secondary sanctions risk for anyone foolish enough to continue conducting business with this regime, and will accelerate the speed with which we pursue them. As I speak, Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control is also sanctioning over 60 entities, individuals, and vessels around the world that enable the Iranian regime to procure illicit nuclear and missile technology, conduct cyber operations, and generate oil revenue. This is a sustained campaign to collapse every last option for Iran. Let there be no ambiguity as to the position of the United States. An economic engagement of any kind with this murderous regime will expose those responsible to the full reach of American power. For decades, this regime has drawn strength from a calculus that regards Iranian retaliation as certain and American enforcement as negotiable. Under President Trump, that era is over. To the ordinary soldiers supporting this regime, as more and more of your paychecks stop or are supposedly just delayed, ask whether your commanders are leading your country to triumph or to ruin. And recall that the Berlin Wall fell when ordinary soldiers decided not to shoot at their own people. And to those who enable Tehran, do not discount the cost of testing Washington's resolve. No nation should expect to enjoy the rewards of our system while helping those who seek.
In the meantime, Scott Besson in the United States, you are the ones who are shooting at your own people. Make it make sense. Make your narrative and your example make sense. When you are shooting at your people, your own people, you are killing your own economy and you're the Treasury Secretary. But we understand that when you were in your what was he some type of hedge fund manager, you were abysmal at that as well. You lost 90% of the wealth that was given to you in your own company. You're another loser that has been put in the administration, sitting up here acting as if you're some highbrow know-it-all. When you lost 90% of the money that you were supposed to be investing for others, it has been reported. Okay, but go ahead. Make people think that you're some smart elitist. Hey, foot soldier.
To destroy it. It is now a time for world leaders to make a decision between prosperity and isolation, peace and terror, America and Iran. The campaign we begin today will gather force with every day that follows, and it will not end until this regime stands alone. With that, I welcome your questions. David from Reuters.
Hi, thanks, Secretary. One of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal is the ability to impose secondary sanctions on banks and financial institutions that facilitate actions for Iran. Chinese banks have often been talked about being targeted, but we don't see any of those institutions targeted here. Is that something that is coming in this campaign, or is the very delicate trade truce with China something that could prohibit you from going that far and taking that?
So, Mr. Secretary, while you're talking all of this tough stuff, we're looking here and we see that you have no secondary sanctions on China, is the question, as he's hawing around the facts that they want to act like they are so bad when they know that China is the main source of doing business with Iran with oil. But curiously enough, you have no secondary sanctions on any banks in China because you don't want it with China. While you sitting up here talking all of this dumb shit, because you have to go into putting sanctions on anybody who does business with Iran because your military has shown the world how inept it is under the command of a drunkard, Pete Breath, and you have lost this Iran war. To the point that you don't have enough munitions to even protect your homeland. Let that sink in. And the world sees it. How long are you guys going to continue to support this foolishness? Those of you who do. Of course, those are the only ones I'm talking to.
Very big step.
We want to make clear here today that no one is above the reach of U.S. sanctions, that if they facilitate transactions and are part of the ecosystem that turns Iranian oil into money, into repression, they will be targeted. We find that the best way to engage with countries is through quiet diplomacy, and we are level setting with every country to tell them our expectations. We know who they are, they know who they are. So when the hammer of US Treasury actions falls upon them, they will have no one to blame but themselves.
We haven't done anything yet. We know who they are. Now, J, JD, J, um, if you could make any sense when you write your question, why are you so invested into this? Because I'm an American citizen. That would be a reason number one. And I don't want my country to be ruined by the ignorance and the stupid policies that are being enacted by these losers. Uh, would you rather we actually invaded Iran? We've already invaded Iran. What is your question? You hate America. No, I don't hate America. I am not the one who's trying to destroy America and the American economy. You are watching who is destroying America as they have their yachts fueled up to go to their bunkers in other countries. What has this administration and all of the money that they told you that they have bought in for America? How have they improved anything in America from infrastructure or way of life? Since you want to talk about I hate America, who have bunkers all over the world, who have passports all over the world, where they can get on their mega yachts or their private jets and fly off when America is doomed. Would that be you? No. So spare me with your bullshit.
Richard from CBS.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You said the president is calling world leaders with specific asks and that there's a defined timeline. Who is he calling and what are the asks?
We're not going to name names, that we've already seen some results, and that I am confident the president, as you all know.
We're not going to name names because you have no names. If you had some names, you would proudly state these names. We're not going to name names. You notice how they always come out with these announcements, but they can't give you any specific facts.
No, is quite persuasive, and we are following his calls up with calls from visits and calls from the State Department and from the U.S. Treasury, expecting them or telling the leaders, the countries, and the entities exactly what we expect and the timelines. And I would expect that very quickly, if they do not respond, then you will see the ramifications of their actions.
Can you say how far the timelines are?
Again, I'm not going to set timelines, but we do not have infinite patience here. Jennifer?
You're not going to set a timeline for your D-Day. D-Day was a specific day. D-Day was the day that they stormed the beach of Normandy. But you're going to come out here and announce a economic D-Day, but you're not going to announce a specific time that they have to get in line. Oh, you pussy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary. Jennifer Schonberger with Yahoo Finance. You just said moments ago that no one is above U.S. sanctions. What specific secondary sanctions or penalties is Treasury prepared to levy against Chinese banks and shipping firms if they do not comply? And then secondly, as you look to take these unprecedented sanctions, you've also said that as the Iran conflict fades and oil prices recede, that will help bring down long-term bond yields. In the meantime, you have mentioned your toolkit, and I'm curious if you are looking at reducing auction sizes for longer-term dated Treasury debt going forward, and what other actions you may consider from that toolkit.
Yeah, well, why don't we work backwards? We issued the quarterly refunding announcement 2.5 weeks ago. We are going to continue with our regular program of auctions. So you will be hearing from us again at the beginning of next quarter. In terms of, as I said, every country, every entity should know that they should be prepared to face U.S. sanctions. And no one is above this. We are going to hold everyone accountable, and this is economic asphyxiation of this regime. And Jennifer, as I said, no one should test our resolve. So, Josh from the Post.
You said you weren't going to name names, but there's been some reports that the United Arab Emirates is among some of the first nations to take seriously these words from the United States to cut off all business interactions with Iran. Is UAE leading the way in this respect?
I would think that the actions that they took last week were not coincident, but likely causal. And I would expect that we would see a broad array of countries taking similar actions as we continue our engagement. The UAE have been very good partners and have taken the brunt of the Iranian attacks in the Gulf. And what have these countries gotten over the years from appeasing Iran? They were subject to violent attacks. While we were bombing Iran, they were bombing them. So it shows that with this regime, appeasement does not work. And on the other side, with this regime, trying to buy appeasement will no longer work in the eyes of the United States of America. And I want to emphasize that we are spreading out across the world as we speak, that you will see a wave of sanctions when you leave this meeting today, and you should expect that cadence to continue. And I would expect that you will see a major announcement of a financial institution being sanctioned by the end of this week. So, Samira from Sky. Yep. No. No. Are you? No. I'm looking for Samira from Sky. No. Hi.
Does the United States and President Trump still want Canada to become a state? He did say that they're getting all the benefits of being.
Oh, see how cleverly he's answering questions. He has a list of names of who he wants to take questions for. Because if you have a press pool in front of you raising their hands to ask questions, why are you calling somebody from Sky News who obviously isn't there with their hand raised to ask questions? How convenient.
A state without.
No. Hi.
Does the United States and President Trump still want Canada to become a state? He did say that they're getting all the benefits of being a state without being one.
I think he would like Canada to come to the table and negotiate in good faith. They were offered quite a good deal last week. They chose to reject it. Unfortunately, Prime Minister Carney rose to power on an anti-American, anti-Trump platform. I believe he was more than 20 points behind. And he seems to have gone back to his old playbook. And I think one has to ask oneself, is he trying to benefit himself, the Liberal Party, or the Canadian people? Because they were offered a very good job. So, yep, you.
Thank you, Secretary Besson. If I could shift to bond yields quickly. We saw them tick down today after some turbulence. And
they were offered a very good job, or were they offered a very good trade deal? This numbnuts doesn't even know how to address what he's speaking about. They're talking about the trade deal with Canada, not a job. They were offered a very good job.
Going up last week. Can you tell us if the... Thank you, Secretary Besson. If I could shift to bond yields quickly. We saw them tick down today after some turbulence and going up last week. Can you tell us if there's any possibility that there'll be more bond buybacks anytime soon.
Again, we haven't bought a single bond yet. The next the next time we have an operation is September 9th. So we will see on September 9th.
You hear all of this gasping for air? We haven't bought a single bond back yet. But you sure bought a whole lot of bonds from Japan, one of the largest purchaser of U.S. bonds, trying to steady the stock market. And that that worked for what, half a day?
All right. One more. Let's see. You in the front.
You described this as an economic D-Day, but D-Day wasn't a threat of an invasion, and the U.S. didn't give a timeline to Germany. So why not impose the sanctions today?
Well, we are giving everyone.
What, bitch?
The opportunity, the
economic D-Day, but D-Day wasn't a threat of an invasion, and the U.S. didn't give a timeline to Germany. So why not impose the sanctions today?
Well, we are giving everyone the opportunity to remedy bad behavior. Why would I want to blow up the global financial system?
Why would I want to blow up the global financial system? And there he says it. Because what they are putting out that they are going to do, they are aware that this is something that is going to blow up the global financial system. So now, well, you know, I'm giving people to time to heal and to come in line with our wishes. You think the world is going to come in line with your wishes because you illegally invaded a country and you are losing the war, and you're going to put sanctions on the whole world about whom they can do trade with because you decided to be a good little boy for Benjamin Netanyahu and strike a country that was doing absolutely nothing to the United States and pose no threat to the United States? And now the whole world is supposed to comply with what you want of them in regards to this country that is already whooping your ass? Oh, is that what you're saying, dummy? Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying.
Believe that it is important.
It wasn't a threat of an invasion, and the U.S. didn't give a timeline to Germany. So why not impose the sanctions today?
Well, we are giving everyone the opportunity to remedy bad behavior. Why would I want to blow up the global financial system? We believe that it is important to level set and give people a cure period, but they should know that that will move very quickly and that we are serious. Secondary sanctions are a very powerful tool, and we here at Treasury, this is Gene Lang, the acting undersecretary for terrorism finance. And in the terrorism finance department and at OFAC, the reason we are able to use secondary sanctions is because we do not take their use lightly. So we believe that a warning shot and a level set of expectations is appropriate. And if people do not want to meet our expectations, then we expect, and they should expect, that they will leave the dollar system. Okay, thank you all.
You've been listening to Treasury Secretary there, Scott Bessent, announcing sanctions.
Let's move on. Let's see what the response from China. I already told you what the response from China was when they put a balloon out about this policy that they were going to make. But let's see exactly what they said about this. I think this is right here.
economic ties with Iran. And China is pushing back against the Trump administration's new sanctions campaign. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Monday threatened sanctions on countries that refuse to cut economic ties with Iran. China is one of Iran's biggest trading partners and the largest consumer of its oil. So this felt particularly targeted toward them, even though they weren't named. The country's foreign ministry spokesman said yesterday, China will, quote, take all necessary measures to firmly safeguard its own rights and interests, adding that China-Iran cooperation, in their words, should not be disrupted or undermined, noting that it has conformed with international law. Meanwhile, as the stalemate over the Strait of Hormuz drags on, Iran's deputy foreign minister says Tehran and Oman agreed on a temporary route for shipping there, but reiterated the key waterway will not reopen until the U.S. fulfills its commitments under the Memorandum of Understanding. I was pretty sure that had lapsed. We're going to talk about...
Oh, no, bitch. You're not going to get out of it that quickly. They trying to... when she tried to undersell...
in July 2025 at the Rio Summit.
That China said. Let's see what the BRICS are saying about this.
BRICS leaders sat down, talked for 2 days, and walked away without a single joint declaration announcing any plan to break from the dollar. Critics pounced immediately. De-dollarization remains a distant prospect, several analysts wrote. Case closed, they said. BRICS was all talk. Then Trump threatened every single one of those nations with a 100% tariff if they moved forward with dollar alternatives anyway. And 13 months later, in August 2026, a $24.5 trillion block of economies is running payment infrastructure that never needed a summit declaration to function in the first place. The critics were right about the rhetoric. They were completely wrong about the infrastructure. Here's the trap in how most people evaluate this story. They wait for a press conference, a signed treaty, a triumphant announcement of the new BRICS currency. That's not how this is actually unfolding, and it never was. Instead of one dramatic reveal, member states have been quietly linking together payment systems they'd already built independently. China's CIPS, Russia's SEPS, India's UPI, Brazil's PIX, into an interoperable network now branded BRICS Pay. And according to tracking from financial analysts this year, that quiet linkage has already reduced dollar usage in intra-block trade by roughly 2/3. Not through a declaration, through plumbing. That's the $24.5 trillion figure worth paying attention to, the combined nominal GDP of BRICS's 11 full members: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Indonesia. That's larger than the entire European Union's economy, and it's the real economic weight now, sitting behind infrastructure, specifically.
This is one of the reasons why they say if you're about it, you don't have to talk about it. You will be about it. There is nothing to talk about. That they were putting together their plan and the ability to actually do what they said they were going to do, a de-dollarized trade.
Engineered to root around the exact leverage Trump's tariff threat depends on. Because here's the mechanical problem with a 100% tariff as a deterrent. It only works on trade still touching the dollar system. Russia and China now settle roughly 90% of their bilateral trade directly in rubles and yuan. There is no dollar transaction in that trade for a tariff to punish. No SWIFT message, no correspondent bank, no clearing point Washington can threaten. Trump built a weapon designed for yesterday's financial architecture and pointed it at trade that increasingly doesn't touch that architecture at all. The new development bank adds another layer critics tend to overlook. Alongside it sits the contingent reserve arrangement, a currency swap facility BRICS members set up years ago.
See, but this is what America and America media is not going to tell you. That they already have their piping set up through BRICS, that they never have to use any of the mechanisms that will be able to sanction these other nations in the first place. See, this is what these reporters on this for-profit media will never tell you. They will never give you the full story. How you going to sanction somebody when you don't have the ability to withdraw or hold their money from them as they're doing business that does not concern you. And you have no ability to go in and withdraw their money. But this is not what they want you to believe, that 45, 47, and all of his hot air is some type of effective negotiations. But what they don't want you to realize that all of his hot air is basically marking the end of America. That's what they don't want you to concentrate on. They want you to think that he's doing something to these other nations, and we're going to have to wait and see how it's going to fall out. But we already see how it's falling out for American citizens. How's it falling out for you right now? As they tell you, you are making more at your jobs, and they have created more jobs than any other presidency. How is that working out for the American citizens? As they tell you that wages are higher than they have ever been. How's that really working out for you? Let's continue.
Go specifically as a backstop against balance of payments crises, functioning in effect as the bloc's own emergency lending mechanism outside IMF conditionality. It's not headline material. It's exactly the kind of unglamorous institutional plumbing that makes a bloc resilient enough to shrug off a tariff threat rather than panic in response to one. Now, credit where it's due to the skeptics, because dismissing their point entirely would be dishonest. The dollar still accounts for roughly 90% of all currency trading worldwide, and that dominance isn't disappearing this year or next. BRICS economies remain genuinely diverse. Coordinating monetary cooperation between Ethiopia's economy and China's $18 trillion giant is a real structural challenge, not a talking point. And there's a deeper irony worth sitting with. When Argentina faced financial turmoil, it was China, working alongside the IMF, and with BRICS support, that helped extend a lifeline to Javier Milei's government, the same government that had publicly rejected BRICS membership entirely. The bloc that's supposedly building an anti-Western alternative order still, in practice, operates through some of the very institutions it's meant to be routing around. That contradiction is real, and pretending otherwise would undercut the credibility of everything else in this story. It's worth sitting with why that contradiction doesn't actually collapse the broader narrative, though. Institutions like the IMF and World Bank exist because they're deeply embedded in the current global financial architecture. Genuinely disentangling from them overnight would be more economically destabilizing for BRICS members themselves than staying partially engaged while building parallel alternatives on the side. That's a pragmatic strategy, not a hidden admission that the alternative infrastructure doesn't matter. Most major shifts in global financial order haven't happened through clean breaks. They've happened through decades of overlapping systems competing for relevance until one gradually displaces the other. BRICS appears to be betting on exactly that slower model rather than a dramatic rupture. There's also a question worth asking about why Washington's tariff threat landed the way it did. 100% tariff sounds maximalist and decisive on paper, but as a policy tool, it assumes the target has no viable alternative path. That the pain of losing dollar-denominated trade access outweighs the cost of building around it. That calculation might have held a decade ago. It holds much less now, when infrastructure like CIPS, SPFS, UPI, and PICS already existed independently in each member country before BRICS ever linked them together. Washington's threat assumed leverage that had already been quietly eroding for years, and doubling down on that leverage with a bigger number, 100% instead of some smaller figure, doesn't restore leverage that the underlying trade patterns had already started to bypass. The Reserve Bank of India has formally proposed a CBDC bridge linking the digital ruble, digital yuan, and digital rupee for streamlined settlement. The multilateral M-Bridge system has already processed more than 4,000 transactions worth roughly $55 billion. Gold reserves across BRICS. Central banks have been climbing steadily, with prices surging past $5,000 an ounce this year, precisely because physical gold can't be frozen the way a dollar reserve in an American-controlled account can. None of these
And who's stocking up on gold? All of these BRICS nations are stocking up on gold.
projects required a summit declaration. They required engineers, central bankers, and years of unglamorous integration work that kept moving regardless of what happened or didn't happen at any single summit stage. This is also why measuring BRICS' success by summit theatrics misses the entire point of how the bloc actually operates.
Okay, let's go back a little bit. All of these links are in my description box.
What we're witnessing right now is the final days of the petrodollar, and this is how the US dollar finally comes to an end. The truth that we refuse to accept in the US is the exact same truth that's been breaking the rest of the world for decades. We have become a rogue nation in every sense of the word, and the collective world has finally brought the economic sledgehammer to break the chain to the United States.
They're sick of it.
Again, this is how the US dollar finally comes to an end. Now, this is a massive story, and we're going to continue to follow it. So hit that like button and subscribe. We need to boost the signal on our little pirate broadcast.
All of these links are in my description box under Scorched Earth Scott. As in Scott Besson went Scorched Earth. And these are going to be the results.
As much as we possibly can on this one. Now, one of the most consequential summits in, I think, modern history happened, and the BRICS nations, which now include heavyweights like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, just announced that it's time to roll out the BRICS DCMS. Now, that stands for Decentralized Cross-Border Messaging System. In human speak, they just built an alternative to the SWIFT banking system that completely bypasses the US dollar. And this isn't something that's in the far, far away future. No, this is live. This is in the here and now. And to understand why this matters, you have to look at the way that the US treats its enemies, and increasingly, the way that it treats its friends. Now, for the last 80 years, the US dollar has been the world's monopoly money. If two countries wanted to trade oil or electronics, they had to do it in dollars, passing through a network that's completely controlled by the West. This gave the United States a super weapon, the financial sanction. Now, sanctions are how the US conducts war without firing a bullet. And we've used them historically to cripple economies and institute financial embargoes on entire populations as a completely normal practice of foreign policy. If you didn't bend the knee to Washington, we froze your assets and starved your citizens. It's a hard truth, but it's a truth.
Isn't that what Scott Besson just announced? Because they're losing the Iranian war? Yes. Yes.
Nonetheless. And when the lines between enemy and ally were clear, this made sense. It kept the global order in line. But in this new era of endless US empire expansion, the leverage has now become the liability as far as the rest of the world sees it. It's become a direct threat to the sovereignty of Canada, to the sovereignty of Mexico, to the nations of Europe, to any nation that's called the US an ally up until this point right now. I think one of the biggest wake-up calls that happened is when Russia invaded Ukraine, because the rest of the world watched Washington freeze hundreds of billions in Russian sovereign assets overnight. And with the war in Iran, it's just been attack on the sovereignty of nations that have stood by us on the battlefields for over a century. So what China and the BRICS alliance just did was effectively kill the United States' most effective weapon to exert control over other nations without actually putting our troops in harm's way. Now, the genius of the BRICS DCMS is that you don't even have to be a member of BRICS to use it. There's no centralized BRICS coin controlled by a military hegemon. It's a decentralized blockchain-based integration layer. It allows a country to plug in their own already existing domestic payment systems directly into one another. And if you want the receipts on this, if this is actually happening, let's look at Project Enbridge. This is a multi-year initiative involving the central banks of China, Thailand, the UAE, Saudi Arabia. In early 2024, the UAE officially conducted the first cross-border payment of digital dirhams directly to China using this ledger. Now, by mid-2026, Enbridge had reached the minimum viable product stage and cleared massive real value volume. That's money that completely avoided the U.S. banking system. No correspondent banks, no dollar clearing houses in New York, and zero visibility to the U.S. Treasury. When you hear the media talk about digital currency experiments.
So tell me again how this tariff will work. how these tariffs are going to work, that Scott Bessent D-Day tariffs are going to work? They're not.
I want you to think that it's theoretical, but it's not. This is it. It's the largest rewiring of the global financial grid since the 1940s, and the switch has already been flipped. I know this sounds like boring banking plumbing, but that plumbing is the only thing that's keeping your credit card interest from hitting 50%. And when that pipe finally bursts, and it will, every American who wakes up and goes to a job that only pays enough to keep you going to the next paycheck, the people who are putting all their waking hours to keep this massive experiment in extraction and exploitation running, well, those are going to be dark and defining times for most of us. The support for the US to remain the global hegemon is exhausted. The world is tired of the inflation that we export to them, the wars, the constant wars that we drag them into. And they're tired of being held hostage by a government in Washington that can't even balance its own checkbook. To understand why this is a kill shot for the US dollar, look at Saudi Arabia. For 50 years, the petrodollar. The informal agreement where we provided military security and they sold oil almost exclusively in US dollars was the holy grail of US power. But that era is effectively dead. Saudi Arabia has abandoned the dollar-only model and officially joined the Enbridge ledger in the BRICS alliance. And why? And because the math has changed. China is now the largest buyer of Saudi and UAE oil. If China says, we'll pay you instantly in digital yuan on a private ledger, and the US says, you have to use the dollar so we can monitor and potentially freeze your assets, which one do you think a sovereign nation is going to choose? They aren't being mean to America. They're making a cold forensic survival choice to exit a system that has been weaponized against them. This is exactly why the US government is currently panicking and trying to shut down Brazil's PIX payment systems with threats of massive tariffs. The US Treasury realizes that if Brazil's PIX connects to India's UPI or China's digital yuan through the BRICS DCMS, the transaction settles instantly peer-to-peer, no US dollars required, no American oversight, and absolutely zero ability for Washington to slap a sanction on it. When an empire relies entirely on...
Yeah, but unfortunately, most Americans do not know this information. If you'd like to finish the information on this video, it is in my description box under the caption Scorch Earth Scott, as in Scott Bessent. They want you to believe all of this hyperbole that they are putting out. But what they are hiding is the demise and how they are ruining this country. That's what I want you to know. But the thing about it is, if you look at my thumbnail, all of these billionaires and oligarchs, they have a way out because they're billionaires. They are the ones who have a way out, who can move to another country because God knows they have not done anything to improve this country. Let me see. Let's see. Let me move forward. We've talked about that. Rest in peace, Dolly Parton. You guys know, I'm pretty sure most of you know that Dolly Parton passed away yesterday. And it was weird because Dolly Parton came out the day before yesterday with a statement that she was sorry that she hadn't been in touch with her fans more recently. And if you would be patient with her, she was dealing with her health, and you know, the death of her husband was hard on her. I'm paraphrasing. The death of her husband was hard on her, and if you give her time to attend to her health, and she appreciated her fans and everything. And then the next thing I heard from Dolly Parton was that she had passed away. Rest in peace, Dolly Parton. I remember Dolly Parton all the way back into my childhood being on Hee Haw, this show Hee Haw. So I just want you to be aware But all of this sanctions and every country must do what the U.S. tells them to do because the U.S. decided to go into a war and now they're losing the war. It sounds stupid on the surface, but factually it is unattainable. So let's see what else. What's this? Let's see. I talked about Hakeem Jeffries on Monday. Hakeem Jeffries is meeting with Jared Kushner in a suit, but and he got a whole lot of backlash. He did. I told you how there was someone, a Democrat, who was running against Hakeem Jeffries in the primaries, but all of these established Democrats got everyone to not run against Hakeem Jeffries. Everybody should have a robust primary, or we wouldn't be stuck with Hakeem Jeffries meeting with unelected non-government official like Jared Kushner, who is flown all over the world, making financial deals for himself because of his proximity to the president of the United States. Under some guise of being some special special ambassador of peace to the United States, and make sure that he does not work for the United States. So therefore, he does not have to release his financial information. Why is Hakeem Jeffrey even meeting with this man? He should be meeting with attorneys to make sure that they have all the charges that are needed to be brought against this man and this administration and the use of this man in this administration. But no, Hakeem Jeffries decided that believes that he is going to be anointed into the House Speaker chair before even the elections are over. Hakeem Jeffries already believes that he's going to be the House Speaker. So instead of waiting, instead of acting demure or acting like, oh, I don't want to be cocky, Hakeem Jeffries has also appointed Jared Mossowitz over some type of Israeli type of. He's going to be the man in the Democrat congressional caucus that is going to look out for Israeli interests. Now, this is even before the midterm elections. Hakeem Jeffries has been so bold as to appoint somebody to in Jared Mossowitz, a whole Israeli cuck, to look out for the Israeli interests. But Hakeem Jeffries, I have a question. Hakeem Jeffries, have you met with the people of your borough who are having their homes stolen under deed theft yet? You know, like your opponent who wanted to primary you, who was meeting with them, who was trying to get them some relief. Have you met with those black families who brownstones have been stolen under deed theft, Hakeem Jeffrey, while you're meeting with a failed or realtor, a whole failed developer at like Jared Kushner? Have you met with these people? And then when he got pushback, Hakeem Jeffries didn't show up in a suit and jacket. He came out with a video yesterday, and what did he do for his constituents to make you feel like he was really doing something for you and really addressing your needs, and he cared about your needs? What did he do for your needs? He actually did something for the needs of Israel in appointing Jared Moskowitz. These people uh, are so bold to actually act as if they have already gotten these positions. If anything within me, if the Democrats win the midterm elections, it would behoove of the Democrats to not choose Hakeem Jeffries as the Speaker of the House. I don't give a fuck if Hakeem Jeffries is supposed to be the first Black Speaker of the House. What it appears to me is Hakeem Jeffries is going to be the Jewish Speaker of the House. What it appears to me is that Hakeem Jeffries is going to be the puppet of Jared Kushner, first puppet of Jared Kushner as the Speaker of the House. If you don't get the fuck out of my face with Hakeem Jeffries, so after he got pushed back, now Hakeem Jeffries comes out in costume, in a minstrel costume. Like Target is getting that flack for that minstrel costume that they had, a whole minstrel costume with big pink lips and hands and gesturing like a minstrel, a sambo. Have you guys heard about that? Target had to pull this costume off the shelf, and they had a little black kid in the costume with big pink lips. Big pink lips. Now, Hakeem Jeffrey comes out in a minstrel costume after trying to address his constituents. Why didn't you come out and address your constituents in a suit? Because they elected a Congress member. Not somebody who's trying to dress like a 1980s rapper. And let's see what Hakeem Jeffries came out to address his constituents as he. But what you didn't say when you address your constituents is anything that you have done for them in their borough. Let me share this with you. Let me tell you, this is the last person I want to be the House Speaker. He's a whole Israeli clown for Bunny. Cash cow. What does Charlemagne the God call him? I can't remember. What does Charlemagne the God call him? And he's a whole Israeli puppet.
Did you accomplish anything specific during this meeting with Kushner?
No, it was just a high-level, topical conversation.
Oh, we got.
Now, Hakeem Jeffries said that they talked about affordability, but you can't be specific about anything you talked about. Let's hear him. Let's hear a little bit.
Got together and didn't talk about anything. He told me all of his concerns about affordability. Jared Kushner did. So Hakeem Jeffries is obviously lying, but we found out why he's lying. Wait till you find out what he promised Jared Kushner. That's in this story. Anna's got the whole story.
So following the pretty intense backlash House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffrey received following news that he had this secret meeting with Jared Kushner, he tried to defend himself. He put out a super lame, dorky video of himself, like wearing, Yankees gear.
He looked like mint M&M.
Actually, why don't we go to that video right now? Let's take a quick look.
Now, look at this clown show, this minstrel show that he puts on for his constituents. And look where he decided to do this. Not in his office, not in any professional setting. He decided to do it. It looks like he's in front of some housing project, trying to make it seems like, hey, I'm the man you voted for. Remember me? I'm here for you in the housing, New York housing project. As he does.
What's up, y'all? Just finished.
As he
An event here in the community.
He just finished an event up here in the community. Look at him. What was this event? Were you getting high in the community? What fucking event with that big ass bolo hat on? Look like if you turn your head, the hat will spin around in your head. The fuck is this shit? A whole minstrel show. Ugh. He's trash. This man is absolute trash. As people in his community are losing their house to deed theft, and he refuses to meet with them.
In Brooklyn.
Multi-million-dollar homes Black families are losing. And he says nothing about this. And shows up in front of a housing project in Brooklyn to make you believe that he gives a fuck about his constituents.
I want to give you a little real talk on this Jared Kushner situation. He asked for a meeting, and I took it to discuss the affordability crisis that exists that is not a hoax. At the same period of time, I shouldn't have to say it, but I...
He asked for a meeting, and I took it. To what avail? You shouldn't have to say it, but what? You shouldn't have to say what? What shouldn't you have to say? You should have to say what was accomplished at this meeting about affordability. That is what you should have to say. Don't come on here telling us what you shouldn't have to say. Because if you felt that you shouldn't have to say it, you wouldn't be saying it.
He asked for a meeting, and I took it to discuss the affordability crisis that exists that is not a hoax. At the same period of time, I shouldn't have to say it, but I am. No one is going to get a pass.
Pathetic.
Yeah, look, guys, that's so disingenuous. It's like super embarrassing. He's like, oh, let me dress as a real person. Is this how real people, is this how the poors dress? Okay, here. Because he's always in a suit and tie. Now that he got caught hanging out with Jared Kushner, all of a sudden he's hanging out in front of a real building wearing real people's clothes. He goes on CNN without a suit and a tie. He's like, oh no, I'm one of you. I'm not one of the elites doing secret deals behind your back. Look, I'm Mint M&M, and I'm from in front of this building where I hear poor people live.
That's, oh my God.
Come on, man, you're so obvious.
You're so right. You're so right. You're so right. I didn't even realize what he was doing with the background. Okay, here's what, let's not waste our time. He had an interview with Will.
Thank you for subbing, Robert. If you guys like the content, please hit the like button, subscribe, support the channel. I appreciate your support.
Wolf Blitzer asked super boring questions. Did you accomplish anything? Here's what Hakeem Jeffries actually accomplished. Jared Kushner is pro-Israel. Jared Kushner wants to make sure that we are still slaves to Israel after Democrats take control of the House. And so here's what actually came out of this meeting. Let's go to Prem Backer's post on X. Hakeem Jeffries elevating Jared Moskowitz to lead the Middle East and North Africa subcommittee comes after Jeffries recently met with Jared Kushner.
Boom, told you. So yesterday we said on this show, Jared Kushner doesn't do domestic policy, he does foreign policy. So he called you to not talk about the Middle East or foreign policy. He called to talk about affordability because Jared Kushner can't wait to help the average American. That same Jared Kushner. But there was one good thing that came out of the Will Blitzer interview. He asked him, hey, what did you guys talk about in regards to affordability? No, nothing specific.
Yeah, of course, because Hakeem Jeffries couldn't care less about affordability, much like Trump, much like almost every single politician in Congress right now. They don't care about you. They don't care about the affordability crisis. They are doing well. They're engaging in insider trading. They're enriching themselves from their position of power. They couldn't care less about you. And Hakeem Jeffries is a disgrace. Let's go to what Jared Moskowitz had to say following this announcement. I want to go to the second graphic, not the first part of it. He says, I will use this position to strengthen the unbreakable relationship between the United States and Israel. Now, let me pause for a second so I can actually share my opinion on this. No, it's not about making sure that the United States has an unbreakable bond with Israel. It's about defending a disgusting, loathsome, supremacist regime in the Middle East that has only been a liability to the United States and the American people. That's what Jared Moskowitz is interested in protecting. He's not interested in protecting the American people. He's not interested in making your life better. He's not interested in tackling the affordability crisis. Jared Moskowitz, a Democratic member of Congress, has one goal only in his position of power, and that is to pleasure Israel, regardless of what it does, regardless of its war crimes, regardless of how many children Israel has slaughtered, regardless of the fact that just now it was reported that Israel struck a desalination plant in Gaza that was about to go online today to provide fresh water, drinking water to the Palestinian people. Israel can't stand that. They want to eradicate Palestinian people. And Jared Moskowitz looks at that and says, yes, that is my #1 goal, to aid and abet the genocidal regime in Israel as they slaughtered Palestinian children in Gaza and the West Bank. And then Christians and Muslims in Lebanon as well.
Yeah,
I report the news for a living. And one thing I never want to do is let one media outlet decide for me.
Okay, I think that's enough of that. You get the point. Let's move on. It's just disgusting. It's just disgusting that people try to act like they are an alternative, and they are absolutely the same as the people on the other side of the aisle if you don't pay attention. These people are unabashedly and unashamed of being in government to see how they can enrich themselves at all different levels of our government. Now, that is why the way they are coming at Angie Nixon is disgusting. The way they are coming at Angie Nixon, the way they are coming at the guy who's running for Congress from Senate in Michigan, Dr. I forget his name. Dr. I said is disgusting. Trying to make it about Hassan Piker. Some idiot said to Dr. Assad, "Oh, well, since Hassan Piker is your running mate, I never realized you're going to sound so ignorant as to put out that Hassan Piker is a running mate of a senator. Senators don't have running mates. They are so insistent upon putting these people together, trying to make you hate these candidates who have a clear-cut agenda to help you and improve the status of how you're living your life, but they want to downplay these people, and that fucking Gayle King, that fucking bitch, even had the audacity to tell Angie Nixon, "Oh, I see you campaigned with Hassan Piker," and she said, "I never campaigned with Hassan Piker. I don't even know Hassan Piker." "Oh, you don't know him?" She said, "I know of him, but I've never campaigned with him. Where did you get that from?" Gayle King, how come you didn't answer that question? Because that's the lie that your for-profit media is putting out here. Who the fuck is Hassan Piker but a voice on YouTube? But these people are so in fear of the real message getting out of what these candidates choose to do and are appealing to voters of what they will do for their lives. They keep talking about bullshit issues like Hassan Piker, like Hassan Piker is the Pope or somebody. Hassan Piker is a YouTuber. That's who Hassan Piker is. But you have all of these people being paid millions of dollars in media talking about Hassan Piker, but they're not talking about the things that these elected officials who have won in their states are saying that they want to do for their constituents. Even Kelly Sellers was a whole fucking disappointment. Angie Nixon was running up against Mark Vindman, and Angie Nixon wasn't expected to win. She didn't even raise $1 million. All of her money she raised was grassroots money, and it was under $1 million. While Mark Vindman had over $16 million to spend against her, and while Mark Vindman's bougie ass want to talk about class warfare, and Mark Vindman wife was sitting up there talking about the clothing that Angie Nixon was wearing, and that Angie Nixon should at least wear some professional shoes, and what she decided to wear. Well, Mark Vindman had a $16 million war chest, and mysteriously enough, they cannot figure out where that $16 million went, because they didn't see a whole lot of commercial for Mark Vindman. Now they're questioning where this $16 million war chest that he had, and only to lose to Angie Nixon, I think by over 20 points. Maybe they should look in his wife's shoe closet. That would be a place to start. Maybe that's where they should look for, since that bitch was so hung up on shoes, while Angie Nixon was hung up on the needs of Floridians, with housing, with child care, with health care. And the way they are coming at Angie Nixon is disgusting. Kelly, what is his name? What is his name? He is always on CNN. Kelly Sellers even had the audacity, a black man, had the audacity to say, well, we were going, the Democrat party was going to put a lot of money into Florida to win that congressional seat. But since Angie Nixon has won it, and there's no way that she will be able to win a statewide election, we don't have to put money in Florida now. This is a black man talking about a black woman in a state that discarded this black woman, who went on to beat her opponent, who had a $16 million chest to beat her, and she didn't even have $1 million, and she beat him. But instead of saying, we're gonna put money behind this candidate, you got a black raccoon out here talking about, but we won't put no money behind her because she surely can't win in a statewide election. This is what's going on. The people who appeal to you and address you and your needs, they don't want to talk about what is getting these people elected. They want to talk about a bunch of bullshit. Let's get into all of that. Pay attention to how that raccoon face Gayle King. That raccoon face Gayle King just want to sit up and rub elbows with people who have, and don't realize that these people who have would throw her raccoon ass out in a heartbeat. This bitch wanna bounce up and down in 6-minute rocket launches with Jeff Bezos' Madam Puppet Face bitch ass wife. And this bitch, even after Melania Trump gets discovered trying to steal land to pretend like she's the Christopher Columbus and discovered land. Gayle King doesn't even have the decency to not be photographed with this bitch. No, Gayle King wants to be photographed lunching with Ivanka Trump because she's so hard up to try to pretend like she's a motherfucking unicorn Negro. Bitch, they see you like they see every other Negro. Expendable, bitch. And you have the audacity to sit up here and try to play Angie Nixon about Hakeem Piker and not get into what her campaign was really about and what made her win her fucking campaign. But you want to sit up here and play tricks, bitch. Okay, let's get into that. Where are we? Where are we? Let's get into it. Here we go. Bakari.
And I'm also just going to have a blunt message for Democrats. We won't be wasting money in Florida.
Bakari seller. I have a message for Democrats. We won't be wasting money in Florida. Raccooning much, Bakari?
Now, we were going to be spending tons of money on a Senate seat that we were not going to win in Vindeman instead of spending money in North Carolina and Ohio and maybe even Iowa, Senate seats we can win. And now you're going to see that money not go to Florida.
Very overtly, guys, this is great news because now that Angie Nixon's in, we don't have to waste money. The Democratic Party doesn't have to waste money, resources, or energy trying to support her because she's going to lose. So now we can put those money and resources into other states. I mean, does he realize what he's saying out loud?
Democrats almost don't want to win these states if it means electing a progressive. Let's kick it off in Florida. Another primary shocker where Democratic Socialist, former union organizer Angie Nixon scored a huge upset victory in Florida's Democratic Senate primary over national star Alexander Vindman. If you recall, Alexander Vindman rose to prominence back in late 2019 when he was like the key impeachment witness against Donald Trump, when Trump was impeached for freezing a weapons shipment to Ukraine while pressuring its government to help him out. This political vendettas, this was at a time when the Mueller investigation had just kind of collapsed, and so Democrats needed a quick rebound. So they decided, hey, why don't we double down with another Russia-based so-called scandal against Trump, and this time by accusing him of endangering national security by pausing a weapons shipment for Ukraine, in which it was using U.S. weapons to attack Eastern Ukrainians, and this was a horrible thing according to Democrats. And so Alexander Vindman was a star, but it didn't help him out in Florida, where Angie Nixon, tapping into her experience as a union organizer, as a really exciting speaker, as one of the few state lawmakers to call for a ceasefire in Gaza, worked with women and won. And in the aftermath of Angie Nixon's shocking victory, what do the corporate media want to talk to her about? Well, you guessed it, Hassan Piker.
You've campaigned with Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, Mr. Piker. Do you want to see them on the campaign trail with you as well?
So I have not campaigned with Mr. Piker. Not sure where that information came from. I have campaigned with Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, and so she.
And notice that they have a picture of Hakeem Piker sitting up there next to her, and Gayle King didn't ask her a question. She told her that she campaigned with Hakeem Piker. Notice the bullshit.
Is someone who wants the same things that I want, to make sure that government is working for people and not against it. And so I'll continue to do the same thing, but I have not campaigned with Mr. Piker at all. Not sure where that came from.
All right, my apologies. I thought.
Well, I'm sure now that Gayle has realized she made a mistake, that Angie did not campaign with Hassan Piker, she's going to shift gears and talk.
No, Gayle didn't realize she made a mistake. Oh, okay, my mistake. Are you going to campaign with Hakeem Piker? She goes on to continue the bullshit. See, this is why you can't trust the best friend of the bitch who came out and did the the Michael Jackson story, who act like she loved Michael Jackson so much, and then put these accusers on, one of which who said his family had them to lie. But want to put a story on about these accusers, knowing that they were put up to lie. This is why you can't trust this motherfucking raccoon wig wearing ass bitch.
Talk about an important issue, right? Let's see where she goes next.
Had my apologies about that. Would you want him to campaign with you?
I don't really know.
Gayle King doesn't want to talk about any issues that got this lady elected. Would you want him to campaign with you?
Know who Mr. Piker is. I've heard about him, and so
you don't know who he is.
I said I don't really know.
Hassan Piker campaigned with you. Would you do that again? Will you continue campaigning with him? Actually, I didn't campaign with him. Oh, okay, my apologies. Would you campaign with him? I don't really know who he is. You don't know who he is, so now we've did 3 questions to Hassan Piker.
Who he is personally or anything like that. I am actually focused on Florida and making sure that I'm talking to voters here to uplift their needs and their concerns. And so that's what my focus is going to be over the next 76 days.
Hassan Piker is ridiculously like the boogeyman for Republicans and establishment Democrats. It's humiliating. It's so embarrassing to see everyone talk about him. But, and I like a lot of what Hassan says. He has said some controversial things that he's even stepped back. Now, I want to explain that, like, most of the stuff he said is great. But yes, he said some controversial things. I'm only bringing this up because why is Gayle putting streamer Hassan Piker, Twitch streamer Hassan Piker, and Rashida Tlaib in the same sentence, right? She's bringing up the fact that Angie has campaigned with both of these people. Will she continue to do so? What makes Rashida Tlaib controversial? Is it that fact that she's Palestinian?
Well, it's just funny that if you're a progressive Democrat, like, you're damned if you campaign with Hassan Piker and damned if you don't. Because even if you don't campaign with Hassan Piker, they're going to try to make it an issue. And Angie Nixon, I mean, to the disappointment of Gayle King, it just focused on the issues that impact Florida voters. And that's one of the reasons why she won. Now, over on MSNBC, they're still a little bit uncomfortable with the fact that Angie Nixon joined the DSA. And Simone Sanders tried to give Angie Nixon like an exit ramp from embracing the DSA. And watch what happens.
So did you join DSA? Is this about the organizing capacity and less about the issues? Because even today, like, Republicans across the country, but especially...
Oh, God. I cannot even watch MSNBC because this big mouth amen say it, girl, while talking over people, cheerleading while guests are trying to talk. All of this dumb shit that is done, all of this performative reporting. Ooh, you said it, girl, preach, yeah. Wow, guests are talking. Oh, please.
Especially the Republican Senate Campaign Committee, they are coming out hitting you as a socialist. It's not aligned with Florida values. But the answer you're giving today makes me feel like it's not about the socialists. It's about the organizing capacity. Is that accurate?
It's actually, it's actually about the issues that they care about the most, right? And DSA they didn't help me on my campaign. They didn't endorse me and anything like that. But I am in somewhat of alignment with some of their platform issues.
So Simone's trying to get Angie Nixon to be like, this was just about the organizing help, right? Like, you just want to use the DSA for like their infrastructure, but you don't really agree with them on the issues, right? And Angie Nixon's actually, no, I do agree with them. I do agree with them on some issues, at least. Like for example, Medicare for all, which is still verboten in centrist circles, like on MSNBC. But I mean, the problem that neoliberal Democrats will have to confront is that it's a popular measure. Like, some of the DSA's key measures are popular.
Okay, let's move on. There was one more clip that I wanted to show you about this. Was it? It wasn't about her. Oh, dumb Jesse Walters tried to do the same thing. Let's get into this.
I have never seen an interview backfire on a Fox News host so hard. I want to show you all this rather fascinating interview between Fox News host Jesse Waters and Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed. What I find interesting is how Abdul was able to flip the dynamics and make
Abdul El-Sayed, the name that they try to say, and they add his middle name and make it seem so scary and make you think that he's some Muslim terrorist that is trying to bring jihad to the country. He has been called a terrorist. He is it has been said that he is trying to bring a Sharia law to the country. All of this hate speech to not speak about what his campaign was about. The campaign that he bought to the people that made the people vote for him to be the next senator of Michigan. See, they don't want to talk about that. The stuff that he says that he wants to do for you as the next senator of Michigan. But they are talking about all of this dumb shit. Let's get into this.
Jesse Waters nervous throughout this interview. Jesse has been speaking poorly about Abdul El-Sayed on air for months and months and months, trying to paint him as this radical who hates America, trying to paint him as some Islamist who wants to take us all down. But once Jesse Waters is actually face-to-face with Abdul El-Sayed, at least virtually face-to-face with Abdul El-Sayed, Jesse Waters is nervous. None of his gotchas land. He can't stick the landing on any of it. And I'll even go so far as saying Abdul El-Sayed is the one who's able to flip the dynamic and get Jesse Waters off guard, get him to concede some things. So again, it's a rather fascinating interview. You guys know that I love to debate and do debates with the other side. So seeing this happen at such a high level was really interesting to me. I mean, it's a primetime Fox News host.
I disagree, Adam. This is not a high level. Jesse Waters is no way high level. He has a high level on Fox News because he's crass and stupid. The level that he brings is in no way high level, because if he was high level, first of all, he wouldn't be posing these questions and this attitude toward El-Sayed. Second of all, he does not have the mental capacity to even have the conversation that El-Sayed is actually having. He's like a third grader trying to talk to a doctorate student about have a conversation about a serious matter. Let's continue.
Debating a Michigan Senate candidate, and the Democrat clearly comes out on top, but I'll let you guys judge for yourselves. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe to the...
Do you know how many illegal aliens are in the country now?
People and I both love.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a dodge.
That was an anniversary of throwing away.
20 seconds into the interview, and he already is starting.
You and I both know that long before we ever had ICE, we had INS. We were able to enforce our immigration policies without shooting people in the face and the back of the head. And we just celebrated our 250th anniversary. That was an anniversary of throwing away tyranny. Now, to bring that tyranny back under the guise of the U.S. government itself, that seems to me to be inconsistent with the freedom you and I both love.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a dodge,
is,
Abdul. They did the same thing as ICE back then, INS. Do you know how many illegal aliens are in the country now?
Shoot people in the face and the back of the head.
Do you know how many illegal aliens are in the country now?
To your point, Jesse, let me just answer the question. To your point,
how many do we have?
Fewer when we had INS. To your answer, we had
exactly.
Far fewer when we had
exactly.
INS. So
we now have
INS worked a lot better.
Abdul, listen, we had twice as many illegals now when we had INS.
So to your argument,
you have to have...
Jesse Waters is too dumb to even understand what Abdul El-Sayed is saying. Abdul's saying, if ICE worked so damn well, how come we have more immigrants here now, more illegal immigrants here now, which Jesse Waters is admitting? Abdul's basically working with Jesse's framework here in order to debunk what he's saying. Yeah, I mean, if INS was working so poorly, how come they were more efficient back then? It's a really, really solid point. Can I just point out, as...
Thank you for the 2 jewels, Robert. Is it Robert? Robert, I appreciate that.
This interview goes on, Jesse Waters seems to be more and more shaken by Abdul El-Sayed. And yesterday, Jesse Waters posted this photo on Instagram that I found. And okay, first of all, I find this to be very, very douchey. He's clearly just sloshed at a concert, which happens. It's fine. You're allowed to live a life, even if you're a Fox News anchor. But this just reminds me of like some douchey people I knew in college. I feel like you can see the douchebag on his face in this photo. And it also seems like he was partying the night before his Abdul interview, which explains why he was a little bit shaky and potentially hungover. It's just douchey. Like when you remove the makeup and the suit from Jesse Waters, you kind of see that he's a frat bro who never grew up. Let's move on to this next clip where Jesse Waters tries to ambush Abdul El-Sayed even further, and Abdul pins him down and holds his own. So Abdul is basically referring to Obama's JCPOA when Jesse Waters tries to do a gotcha about the Iran war.
Program, you'd give them back their Air Force, their Navy.
No, I'd go
Because the
back,
nuke program's
I'd go back to the
buried
time
under
when
a
we were
mountain
at
of
peace
rubble.
and we actually had nuclear containment. Now, Jesse, you like to, I mean, look, I understand selective memory about history, but we had a JCPOA that was well negotiated, that actually had nuclear nonproliferation far more securely than what we have right now after having gone to war for the better part of 6 months.
Yeah, I like the fact that the nuke program's buried under a mountain of rubble. They can't even get access to it, but that's me. I think we'll figure it out. The thing you said about...
So let's just stop there. So
Sure.
Jesse, wait. I understand you're not good at math. I get that. I'll give you that. But science, we have to talk about science, okay?
Yeah.
You understand that nuclear material doesn't just go away because you buried it under a mountain of rubble. You understand they can still go back and bury it out, right?
Yeah,
You
we're
get
watching it from Space
Right.
Force.
So
and anybody
we're not any
that
more
goes near
secure
it,
than we were back then.
Okay, let's move on. You said getting rid of...
He said...
Okay, let's move on. Idiot. A whole idiot. Let's continue.
Let's move on. He actually just said, let's move on. Isn't that just a concession that he's losing in the moment?
We were back then.
Okay, let's move on. You said getting rid of Sharia law was white supremacy. Let's roll the tape. Go.
I don't have to tell you that the same exact forces that drove native peoples from their land 2 centuries ago, destroyed Black Wall Street a century ago, bombed a building decades ago, and tried to ban Sharia law not a decade ago, that those forces are alive and well today.
Okay, you guys see how this is an ambush, right? They had a bunch of clips from years ago, from 5-6 years ago, just ready to play, ready to throw at Abdul El-Sayed.
Getting rid of Sharia law is white supremacy. Can you explain that one?
Do you know what canon law is? Jesse, I assume you're Christian, right?
Yeah, tell me.
All right, so canon law is the name for Christian law. I don't begrudge you your right to practice your faith as you choose. I don't know why the idea that I could practice my faith as I choose is a problem. Nobody is trying to push Sharia law on anyone else, just like I hope nobody is trying to push canon law on anybody else, because we live in America where you should have the freedom of your religion. So the idea that you have somebody like Tommy Tuberville, right, who barely was good at coaching football, is out here trying to ban Sharia law when there's less than 1% of the Muslim community in America, as if somehow Muslims are out here trying to push Sharia law. That seems to me to be deliberately targeting the Muslim community because they're different. And I'm just saying that, I have no issue with people practicing their faith. In fact, I would never want somebody to push their faith on me, and I would never want to push my faith on somebody else.
Good, because no one wants you to get rid of your religion.
And so the idea,
no one wants that.
So, but when people preemptively go out there and start preemptively passing laws to ban something that's not happening, what you're trying to do is target a very small community because they're different. And this operates. I mean, look, I'm just going to say there's statistical evidence that the president
Sharia
and the vice
law in
president
Michigan is kind of scary.
Simply
people
as a
don't
function
go
of my
for
faith.
that.
I don't know how else to say it other than Jesse Waters is totally outclassed in this interview. All Jesse Waters...
Maybe Sharia law don't go well in Michigan. People don't go for that. Nobody is making people go for that. We're talking about religion. You guys are trying to make this seem like these are some concept of law enforcement as opposed to a religious belief. And people don't go for that in Michigan. And a lot of people don't go for Christianity in Michigan. So what's so scary about it? Do you see what's going on here? When they say Sharia law, they make you feel like they are trying to set up real laws when they're talking about a practice of religion. Let's continue because they know that most too many Americans are stupid, and they can just tell you anything, and you will take their words as actual facts. Let's continue.
Has are these snarky, smug quips that don't really quite make sense in the context of the conversation. And Abdul El-Sayed is, he has the burden of laying out his entire positions. He just drew a parallel between deep Christian law and Muslim law, Sharia law. And Abdul El-Sayed did that while still respecting the First Amendment and freedom of religion. Like, Abdul just had a very nuanced, complex answer. And all Jesse Waters has are these smug jabs and smug remarks. Get out of here. Here is Abdul El-Sayed, after getting ambushed by Jesse Waters, getting questioned once more on the same thing.
You told me you want to say something, and I want to just finish my point, okay?
Yeah.
If the only answer that Mike Rogers and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have to this economy is to point to me and say there are scary words associated with him, I'm just going to tell you, those scary words are not raising gas prices or keeping you from seeing your doctor. I'm interested in getting money out of politics, putting money in your pocket, passing Medicare for all. And I think that actually will solve problems in Michigan.
I'm not scared of you,
if you think
Abdul. I just think you're a little misguided.
Or running against my faith is going to fix problems, go ahead.
No, I just played what you said and we talked about it. So we're all good. You also said this. You want to...
Yeah, keep moving on, Jesse Waters. You got rolled on the first topic, then you got rolled on the second topic, and then when you tried to ambush him with a clip, you got rolled on the third topic as well. And now Abdul's sitting there smiling. He doesn't have to be smug and snarky. He knows that he's winning via intellect.
You also said this. You want to replace the right to bear arms with the right to health care. You don't want to replace the Second Amendment, do you?
Well, look, man, I think more people are more worried about whether or not they can see a doctor than whether or not they can have a gun. I'm just going to put that out there.
I mean,
honestly, on that one, he should have just said no. He should have bitten the bullet and said no. But people aren't worried about that. They're worried about prices because this allows Fox News to distort his words. But he's killing this.
You're dodging the question. Do you want to replace the Second Amendment?
I'm just saying that more people are more concerned about seeing a doctor. If we had a right to health care in this country, they probably wouldn't. And I think that'd be a pretty good thing, don't you?
I think you dodged the question. And that's a pretty big one in Michigan. But I'll take it as what you said. You said, look, Colin Kaepernick.
I'm perfectly fine with people. Let me just finish to answer your point. You said I dodged the question. I'm perfectly okay with people having their hunting rifles. It's an important pastime. I've got family that goes hunting every single year. But don't you think we should have a right to health care? Don't you think?
We absolutely should have a right to health care. And I'm glad that he was able to bring it home at the end there so cleanly and beautifully. This next clip I found to be rather hilarious. So Jesse Waters tries to call out Abdul about football. And Abdul, in a very, very solid way, goes, I would literally play football with any Republican. Then they start to argue about sex change surgeries for minors, which really doesn't happen at all. Jesse Waters tries to pin Abdul down, but Abdul has a really good gotcha that flips the entire thing. I'm going to play this.
Colin Kaepernick was a good guy, and you said the NFL was racist. What did you mean by that?
He meant that he was stating a fact. That's what he meant by that.
Look, I think for Colin Kaepernick's sake, I think he should have had several more years in the NFL. Now, I think he's a pretty damn good quarterback. I think, unfortunately, he lost a lot of time. But the bigger question right now when it comes to football, look, I know you guys like to think I don't like football, but I'm happy to line up against anybody who thinks that I don't like football. And I'll just tell you, the bigger issue that we have for football right now is I looked at ticket prices to try and go and see a game with my family. It's astronomical through the roof. Now, I think football used to be the kind of thing that you could enjoy with people.
It's
That's
another
gone
dodge,
for too many
Abdul.
people. So we want to
I
talk
mean,
about football. I want to talk about access to football.
I asked you if you thought the NFL was racist because you said the NFL was racist, and now you're talking about ticket prices.
No, I'm just telling you, the
want to be
NFL is too
honest?
expensive.
Sorry, Jesse Waters. Not everybody has the means and the wealth to be able to get sloshed at an Usher concert on Sunday nights before they go bomb an interview at work. I mean, come on. It's so out of touch.
The NFL is too expensive. You don't agree?
All right, so you don't think it's racist anymore?
I get it.
All right, well, I'm
glad.
glad. You don't think the NFL is racist anymore. That's
most
good.
people can't afford that. Bigger issue with the NFL. You want to talk about the NFL. The bigger issue with the NFL is too many people can't afford it. I get you probably can't. And I know that you're in New York, so you have like 2 teams that play in the same place. So you get 2 options. But I'm just saying that here in Michigan, we got 1 team.
Okay.
And most people can't afford to watch them in the stadium. And I'd like to make it more affordable.
Right, so you dodged again. Sex changes for minors. Do you support that?
Look, I remember having great conversations with my conservative friends about right to try legislation. The idea that the government shouldn't tell you what kind of health care you should have. I just think that the government shouldn't tell you what kind of health care you should have. And if you're a minor,
you want to try on kids?
Parents. Now, if you disagree with that, if you disagree that healthcare decisions need to be made by a doctor and their parents and a patient, then we think we agree to disagree. But you want to put government inside.
So Abdul, you're a doctor, right?
Selectively. I am.
So you think it's okay for a parent to slash his kid's thing-a-ling off? You think that's okay?
I mean, do you really want to have this conversation? Are you circumcised?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a
Jesse,
personal question.
Okay,
doctor.
So you probably should want to move on.
Is circumcision's different than castration?
I think it's a problem.
That was a personal question that you asked about. Would you like doctors to be slashing someone's genitalia off as a child, which is not done in the United States? That was a personal question as well. But as long as you can use it as a false narrative to promote bullshit that the right will grab onto and pretend like this is something that is happening in the United States, factually, something that that is not happening in the United States. But when when he asks you about circumcision, oh, that's a personal question. Well, aren't all medical questions between a doctor, a parent, and their child a personal question? So why are you sitting up here on Fox News asking him about something that he never said that he was in agreement with? Why is this even part of the discussion about this man running for Senate for Michigan? There has been no question that has been asked by Jesse Waters about what does he expect to do for the people of Michigan. You notice? This is what I want you to notice.
It's a problem that you think that you get to decide what happens between a parent, a doctor, and a patient. And I'm just saying that, yes, circumcision is surgery on a kid's ding-a-ling. So if you really want to bring that up, you can. I just think you guys are really selective about how you want to talk about these things.
Abdul, Michigan's not going for that. That is sick stuff.
I'm glad that Jesse Waters now speaks for all of Michigan after he just got rolled on 4 consecutive topics: the Iran war, football, the economy, and then he tries to do another gotcha about sex changes, and Abdul El-Sayed flips it back on him. And then, I mean, just look at these chyrons on Fox News at the bottom. Look at what they put on the bottom. Men in women's sports. The one before that, sex change surgeries for minors. Abdul thinks football is toxic masculinity. It's like the least favorable framings because they just want sound bites and snippets for their low IQ audience. Watch this.
But let's keep going. Black people in Michigan.
I know you guys are talking about that, but like most of the country's not.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right.
Can I also just point out, they have only asked him about culture war grievance issues this entire time. Have they asked him about anything that is actually of substance to the American people? Nothing about the economy, nothing about gas prices, nothing about healthcare, nothing about any of this. They've asked about football and sex changes.
All right. Black people in Michigan voted for this white lady you ran against by like 8 points over you. What happened there?
Dude, Jesse Waters can't even ask a fully fleshed out question. Like, Jesse Waters has a 3-word limit. What happened there? Bro, actually give your own positive framework or stop being such a smug asshole, Jesse Waters.
Well, Jesse, I mean, you said it yourself, right? You got to give credit to Abdul. He ran against the machine. I got outspent 11-1. That 11-1 is going to do something at the end of the day. Now, my job is to go and earn every vote. And we've been having some great conversations in the community. We'll continue to do that. And I have a lot to talk about when it comes to my work taking care of communities. I rebuilt Detroit's health department, led Wayne County's Department of Health, Human and Veteran Services, got to work alongside so many folks in the community to give kids glasses, take on corporate polluters, eliminate medical debt. I'm looking forward to continuing to have those conversations, and I feel really good about being able to bring communities together and beat Mike Rogers, who you and I both agree is a beta and won't come on your show and won't debate me in November.
Didn't agree to that, but that's funny.
Notice how the people who always say black people always make things about race are the ones that always make things about race. Okay, let's continue.
Reparations. Do you support that?
Really?
You and I both agree is a beta and won't come on your show and won't debate me in November.
Didn't agree to that, but that's funny. Reparations. Do you support that?
Really, really good answer there from Abdul. Like, that was a brilliant answer. He laid out his experience in a pragmatic, rational way. I mean, if Fox News viewers had any sort of rationality, they would know that that was a good answer.
Okay, reparations. Do you support that? Let's be real clear. The opponent that Al Sayed ran up against during the primaries put out flyers lying, saying that she was endorsed by Barack Obama. That's one thing. So a lot of constituents mailed in their votes. And when it was discovered that, in fact, she was not endorsed by Obama, many of the black constituents had already mailed in their votes. See, that's what Jesse Waters is leaving out in this tea. Now, Jesse Waters then, after that question, turns around and asks him about reparations. Are you for reparations to try to further distance the black vote from this man? See, they don't want to be honest about anything that this man is offering. They are trying to cast him in some fake premise because he's a practicing Muslim. I just want you to be real clear on this. When was the last time did you hear Jesse Waters ask a sitting senator if they were for reparations? And this is exactly why he is asking to further peel away the black votes, to make sure that what they're trying to do is to keep Al Sayed out of the Michigan Senate seat. And that's why he's asking this question. Be sure.
In November.
Didn't agree to that, but that's funny. Reparations. Do you support that?
But you laughed at it. Because you didn't say you didn't agree. Like, Jesse, you're very good at telling me when you don't agree with me, but you actually laughed at that joke because you actually agree. Sorry.
Reparations. Do you support that?
I think we need to have an honest conversation about the incredible debt that was put upon black folks as a function of slavery that we have yet to pay. And I just think that's fair. Like, if people are enslaved and forced into servitude, and then we don't actually have a conversation about all that was owed, that our own country agreed was owed, I just think that it's past time to have that conversation. That shouldn't be a crazy thing.
I think this is a really good way to answer it. It's a fair conversation to have, especially this
Good
far
answer.
in. Let's watch another one of these failed gotchas on live television. Like, Jesse Waters is just trying to throw these darts and he's missing every single one.
See, rather than on the side of everyday Michiganders.
No, because I don't want you guys to blow the country up. Do you know how much the federal budget is now?
No, neither do I. Here's exactly
What's the federal budget?
You guys want to, right? Pete Hegseth.
Answer the question. Do you know what the federal budget is?
To raise. No. I just want to talk about this. Look, you want to talk about budgets? I'm happy to do that. The guy who used to work on your channel, I think he was like the 6th host on the 5. He wanted to raise our military budget to $1.5 trillion, and you don't seem to be upset about that. What, so we can fight a war we don't know how to get out of, to raise our gas prices $5 a gallon? That doesn't make sense to me, Jesse. We want to talk.
I mean, very, very good answer. I will not talk to a single Republican about the debt, the deficit, or the budget when they're asking for $1.6 trillion to continue this failing war with Iran. I'm going to leave it there. If you appreciate these videos, make sure you drop a like. Make sure you're subscribed to the feed below. I love you all. Peace out.
In Michigan, what? The issue that people are worried about is not that somehow somebody's going to come and push Sharia law on them. The issue in Michigan is people are worried about how they're going to afford their gas. The issue in Michigan is how am I going to see a doctor when I get sick? How am I going to keep my job? You're out here, honestly, you guys love to play this culture war game where you use these words that sound really foreign to avoid actually having to talk about the issues that everyday people like to talk about. Now, look.
They pretend to be dumb. They ask you all these weird, whacked out questions. And, but this is, you know, unfortunately, where some of the voters are. So you got to try these venues. And Dr. El Sayed did. So, okay, let's see how it went.
Sex changes for minors. Do you support that?
Look, you know, I remember having great conversations with my conservative friends about right to try legislation. The idea that the government shouldn't tell you what kind of health care you should have. I just think the government shouldn't tell you what kind of health care you should have. And if you're a minor,
you want to try on kids?
Parents. Now, if you disagree with that, if you
hold on. I don't know if my mic was on. All of these links are going to be in my description box. I just went back and my mic was closed. I wanted to be sure that I tell you that that my mic was not closed. I want to tell you that you notice what Jesse Waters is not talking to him about. He's not talking to him about these tariffs that have been put on Canada. What impact that it will have on the people of Detroit, who Canada give free heating to. These are not the things that Jesse Waters is talking to him about. If you think that Jesse Waters gives zero fucks about what this candidate is going to do for the people of Detroit, no, he gives zero fucks about the people of Detroit and their choices. He's trying to paint false narratives of this man because he's a brown-skinned Muslim man. But notice what the people of Detroit are going to have to really deal with as winter is coming. Yes, what did they say? Winter is coming. Winter is coming. Is Jesse Waters concerned about the Michigan people and the tariffs that were put on Canada? Canada that so freely gives free heating oil to the people in Michigan? No, Jesse Waters gives zero fucks because Fox News is paying Jesse Waters millions of dollars to dummy down their viewers and to make them think that shit that doesn't matter a heel and a bean is so important so the oligarchs can continue to rob this country.
you disagree with that, if you disagree that healthcare decisions need to be made by a doctor and their parents and a patient, then we think we agree to disagree. But you want to put government inside.
So Abdul, you're a doctor, right?
Selectively. I am.
So you think it's okay for a parent to slash his kid's thing-a-ling off? You think that's okay?
I mean, do you really want to have this conversation? Are you circumcised?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a
Jesse,
personal question.
Okay,
doctor.
So you probably should want to move on.
Is circumcision's different than castration?
I think it's a problem. It's a problem that you think that you get to decide what happens between a parent, a doctor, and a patient. And I'm just saying that, yes, circumcision is surgery on a kid's ding-a-ling. So if you really want to bring that up, you can. I just think you guys are really selective about how you want to talk about these things.
Abdul?
And that's how you have to talk to Fox News because they come out with these whacked out questions. To be frank, guys, this is a very minor issue, but this is the stuff that Fox wants to talk about because they don't want to talk about actual things that people care. That's why I showed you in the beginning, right? People care about jobs. People care about putting food on the table, right? People care about, say, ending the war, bringing people home.
I want to talk about access to football.
I asked you if you thought the NFL was racist because you said the NFL was racist, and now you're talking about ticket prices.
No, I'm just telling you, the NFL is too expensive. The NFL is too expensive. You don't agree?
All right, so you don't think it's racist anymore?
I get it.
All right, well, I'm glad. You don't think the NFL is racist anymore. That's good.
Most people can't afford that. Bigger issue with the NFL. You want to talk about the NFL, the bigger issue.
And so basically he's not taking the bait, right? And so they have these things set up for you to fall in these traps all the time. And he's maintaining his composure. Again, this is tough to do. A lot of people won't go on Fox News, which I completely understand. But this is essentially, he's willing to do that. And, but I mean, I'll be curious you guys' thoughts. If you were, a candidate for Senate on, say, the Democrat side, would you be willing to go on Fox News? Is it even worth it? Right?
Green New Deal. You back that up. Do you drive an electric car?
I drive a plug-in hybrid made right in the United States. The bigger question about cars, though, is why the president just started a trade war or escalated a trade war with Canada. It's about to make all of our cars, especially the internal combustion engine cars, so much more expensive.
You want to get rid of the internal combustion engine?
No, I don't. Who told you that?
That's what the Green New Deal says.
My dad came to America to design internal combustion engines. No, that's
the Green New Deal says phase out fossil fuels.
Build renewable energy opportunities. Look, I'm not going to defend the Green New Deal. What I'm telling you, though, is that we could make a whole
You're
lot
on the
more
record
amazing
as
jobs if we
backing
actually
the
invested
Green
in
New Deal,
renewable energy.
Abdul.
Look, I'm just telling you this. Are you opposed to the idea that we could reduce energy costs and create jobs in Michigan?
Absolutely, but I don't want windmills in Lake Michigan.
So you're absolutely opposed to that?
Yeah, I don't want to put windmills in Lake Michigan. Do you?
Have windmills.
I don't think the people in Michigan want that, Abdul.
Right now,
if you're running on that, that's not going to go over too well.
We have a pipeline. No. I mean, Jesse, look, we can have a conversation if you want to. You want to keep cutting me off. We could keep doing that too. But you told me we're going to have a good conversation. I just want to talk about something. Right now, we have an oil pipeline in the Great Lakes. If that oil pipeline were to burst, the consequences for our Great Lakes would be disastrous. Now, you're telling me that you'd rather have a situation where that happened than a windmill? That really is so offensive to you?
No,
those windmills are good.
I'm saying I don't want to get rid of fossil fuels, and that's what the Green New Deal does.
He's pretty good, actually, because essentially you're getting Jesse to admit, hey, I'm supporting fossil fuels, basically. And I'll just say this, guys. I live here in Korea. Wind turbines are being constructed everywhere. It's fine. We got solar also going up. It's not just Korea. China's doing it as well. They're pulling ahead of the USA. Much of Asia is looking at what's going on in the Middle East and be like, I just don't want to be relying on fossil fuels anymore, which I don't think is a crazy thing to say. And so that's actually a really great way to frame the argument.
I also think we got to start taxing wealth for people who have over $100 million. I mean, at that point, like, what even are you going to do with more money?
What are you going to do with more money? I mean, whatever I want.
I mean, Jesse, I don't know how much you make.
I'm not $1 billion.
I think I'd rather have. Well, yeah, look, so that's exactly it, right? The question ultimately is, do you want to drive on good roads, or would you rather have a billionaire make a second billion? That's what Mike Rogers wants. That's what Donald Trump wants. Apparently, that's what you want. I think the people in Michigan want something different. They want good roads and good schools.
So you're saying, Beyonce who just became a billionaire. She has to break you off something every year. She has to pay the politicians.
It's not me. It's the American public.
You're
Beyonce,
the one that
I think,
wants
would
the
be
money.
happy to be able to contribute back to the public schools that she went to. I think she'd be happy.
You can see how, again, Waters is trying to twist the argument.
How disingenuous. You're the one who wants the money. Yes, the rich are going to have to pay. Oh, Beyonce is going to pay you. She just became a millionaire. I hope my mic was on when I told Rob to have a fabulous day at work and a great remainder of his day. Thanks for being here, Rob. We're here Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays between 8 and 8:30 a.m. Thanks for joining the show. I appreciate your support.
Are you trying to get money directly from Beyonce to you yourself, your pocket? Like, he's kind of implying that stuff. And again, this is how you have to address this: is like, hey guys, these people are extremely wealthy. It's not crazy to say, hey, pay your fair share, and we can have roads, we can have schools, we can build a fruitful society. And it's strange that Waters was first defending the oil companies. Now we're supposedly defending billionaire class.
Happy to invest in good roads in her community. I think she'd be happy to pay a little bit more so that everybody had a little bit more.
You're reaching a little deep into the pockets.
To be defending billionaires from your channel, Jesse. That's a crazy thing. I thought you were for. I'm just saying. Look, at the end of the day, I thought you were for the everyday man. Like, if you're for billionaires more than you're for every other person, well, you and I are just going to disagree.
No, I just think I have the right to the fruits of my own labor. That's America. It's not communist, what you're talking about.
No problem.
Let me ask you about socialized health care.
Billionaires don't make money. Let me just answer the question.
Sure.
No. Let me go back to that.
Go ahead.
Billionaires don't make their money off of their labor. That, I think, is where you head off. Billionaires that make their money off their money. So if you have $1 billion, your billion makes another.
Billionaires do no labor. There's no labor that billionaires do. Billionaires make their money off of the labors of others.
100 million. That's not the fruits of your labor. That's just the fruits of your money making money. I think it's okay. Like, if we tax you at 7%, you're still gonna make a cool $30 million off your $1 billion. I think it's okay. They're gonna be okay, Jesse.
Yeah, I just don't like the idea of politicians like you.
If you're someone like Elon Musk, you don't take a salary, right? So you can avoid taxes that way. And Trump will say, oh guys, I don't take a salary. I don't make any money from the White House. And that's kind of the talking points they'll do on Fox News. But let's say in Trump's situation, if your family is getting benefits from government contracts and otherwise, then clearly something's going on there. Or if your family's benefiting from insider trading, these kind of things, clearly there's something going on here. Or in the Elon Musk situation, if say I'm not taking a salary, and you can come, oh, see, I don't take a salary, I just do it for the good of the people. Oh, right. Then Fox or people follow that stuff and they're morons. But basically what it is that he gets loans, lines of credit based on his stock options and assets effectively, right? And then doesn't have to pay taxes. And so the question, say in this situation, is, should we be taxing it when people like Musk or Bezos or whoever, again, are living off lines of credit and loans effectively?
It's going to cost the average Michigander a whole lot less than they pay right now. But I'm just going to tell you.
No, but what's the price tag of the program?
Who voted to raise prescription drug prices 19 times, right? And so I want to bring costs down. The price of the program is going to be substantially less for an everyday person who's out here who can't afford their health care and worried about losing their health care with their job.
Well, give me the total number.
Look, while you're out here trying to talk about the broader national budget, I'm a lot more interested in the everyday budgets that Michiganders are thinking about. And that's exactly the budget that Donald Trump and Mike Rogers are blowing up right now.
Well,
I just don't see why you're so on the side of the billionaires, Jesse, rather than on the side of everyday Michiganders.
No, because I don't want you guys to blow the country up. Do you know how much the federal budget is now?
No, neither do I. Here's exactly
What's the federal budget?
You guys want to, right? Pete Hegseth.
Abdul, answer the question. Do you know what the federal budget is?
To raise. No. I just want to talk about this. Look, you want to talk about budgets? I'm happy to do that. The guy who used to work on your channel, I think he was like the 6th host on the 5. He wanted to raise our military budget to $1.5 trillion, and you don't seem to be upset about that. What? So we could fight a war we don't know how to get out of? To raise our gas prices $5 a gallon? That doesn't make sense to me, Jesse. We want to talk about the things that we actually should spend on. To me,
I have a feeling, Abdul, you don't even know how much money the government spends every year. Do you know?
Look, the question, Jesse, to me is,
so you don't know.
Stuff that they do. Oh, you don't know the numbers right offhand, right? But the basic gist of it is that it's $7 trillion federal budget. You got about a $5 trillion revenue coming in, so you're short about $2 trillion. That's the simple numbers. And then this becomes important when you're talking about, okay, so where are we deficit spending? Where are we, effectively wasting money? And then he's bringing up hey guy, don't you care about the 1.5 trillion on this war we don't need to be fighting? And so I think these kind of ways are simple ways to understand this stuff. And also too, you can see clearly how this debate is played. Jesse's in it for the gotcha questions and stuff like that. I also he's coming in to say, hey, this is sort of what I want to do for policy. It's quite a different approach.
Are you glad the Ayatollah is dead?
Yeah, I mean, look, he was a terrible person, but that's beyond the point. The bigger question is, should we have gone to war in the first place? So look, I just want to be clear with you, right? I mean, I'm never going to defend the Iranian regime, but I am going to defend the idea that we probably shouldn't be fighting wars we don't know how to get out of. Oopsie, you go to war and you tell us that it's going to be a special military operation. That was in February. We're now in September almost, and we're still fighting the special military operation. I mean, it's not working for us, Jesse.
We're not really
this
fighting
is exactly what happens when we've got a dunce in the White House who doesn't know what he's doing.
So you'd go back in time, you'd give them back their nuke program, you'd give them back their Air Force, their Navy.
No, I'd go back
the nuke program's buried under a mountain of rubble.
And we actually had nuclear containment. Now, Jesse, you like to, I mean, look, I understand selective memory about history, but we had a JCPOA that was well negotiated, that actually had nuclear nonproliferation far more securely than what we have right now after having gone to war for the better part of 6 months.
Yeah, I like the fact that the nuke program's buried under a mountain of rubble. They can't even get access.
You can always tell when Jesse loses, right? He gets real quiet and it's like, okay, let's go on to the next thing, basically. And this is sort of how the game is played. So these guys, remember, Fox News, they're professional liars. So they're very good at lying and doing the game that they play. So I think Abdul's doing good also.
I don't have to tell you that the same exact forces that drove native peoples from their land 2 centuries ago, destroyed Black Wall Street a century ago, bombed a building decades ago, and tried to ban Sharia law not a decade ago, that those forces are alive and well today.
Getting rid of Sharia law's white supremacy. Can you explain that one?
Do you know?
That's the link is in the description box. Let's end with a little information about Dolly Parton. Rest in peace, Dolly Parton. The day before her death, she made a statement that she's sorry she hadn't been more in touch with her fans, but she needed to take care of some health issues, and the death of her husband had really slowed her down. So let's get into some Dolly Parton legacy that you may not be familiar with.
The most progressive person in America. And she did it, part of her life that the eulogies are. Family said Dolly Parton, dying Tuesday in Nashville, 80 years old. Her family said she went peacefully. And I want to talk about the part of her life that the eulogies are probably going to skip. Because for 40 years, she was effectively the most progressive person in America. And she did it without ever saying the word progressive. And look, right now, everybody's a fan, including Donald Trump, including people who spent the last decade calling every single thing she did woke. So let's put the real record on the table. Not just her songs, her record. Start with a shoebox back in 1995. Sevier County, Tennessee, one of the poorest counties in the state, where her own daddy never learned to read. So she started mailing a free book every month to every kid in the county from birth to age 5. No income test, no paperwork, just a free book with your name on it. That's the Imagination Library. And as of this year, it's in all 50 states, Canada and the UK, Ireland, and Australia. It mails more than 3 million books a month. It's given away over 200 million in total. Governors, red and blue, put it in their state budgets because it works. Illinois, Ohio, Oklahoma, Montana. It's a federal literacy program. Just without the federal government, Dolly Parton did it on her own. Before that, back in '88, she went into the schools in her home county where the dropout rate was 35%. She told the 7th and 8th graders that she would give them $500 if they finished high school. The dropout rate went down to 6%. Giving cash to poor kids conditional on them finishing school. 2016, when the wildfires tore through Gatlinburg, she didn't do a benefit and leave. She gave every family that lost a home $1,000 a month for 6 months, no strings attached. The My People Fund. Her telethon raised more than $9 million more. In 2020, she wrote a $1 million check to Vanderbilt for coronavirus research. That money helped fund the trial for the Moderna vaccine. Her name is literally on the paper in the New England Journal of Medicine. And when she got her shot, she sat in the chair and sang, "Vaccine, vaccine, vaccine, vaccine," to the tune of Jolene, on camera in a state that would end up firing its top vaccine official 4 months later just for suggesting that teenagers get their shot.
Vaccine, 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 vaccine. I'm begging of you, please don't hesitate.
In 2022, Dollywood started paying 100% of tuition and books for every employee. Part-time, seasonal, full-time, didn't matter from day one. 11,000 people. The kid working the funnel cake stand now can get a degree. And then the thing she said, because she did pick her spots, but when she picked them, she didn't miss. 2018, she quietly took the word Dixie off of her dinner show. That's 2 years before anybody else in country music did. When they asked her why, she said, quote, "As soon as you realize something's a problem, you should fix it. Don't be a dumbass," end quote. 2020, when the country was on fire over George Floyd, Billboard asked her about Black Lives Matter, and she said, "Of course Black Lives Matter. Do we think our little white asses are the only ones that matter? No." She was for gay marriage before most Democrats in the Senate were. She'd look out at a crowd of drag queens dressed as her and change the words to drag queen, drag queen, drag queen, drag queen. Please don't take my man. And when the church people complained, she said, and I'm quoting, "All these good Christian people that are supposed to be such good Christian people, the last thing we're supposed to do is judge one another. God is the judge, not us," end quote. I've got to ask you guys, what was the big Dolly moment for you? The song, the books, the vaccine, the drag queens, or the thing that you found out about her this week that you did not know? And is there another public figure alive that could pull off all of that in a red state without getting run out of her own hometown? Now, the part that they'll definitely leave out, the Medal of Freedom. The Trump White House has offered it to her twice. She turned it down twice. The first time she said that her husband was sick and COVID was the issue the second time. But then she said this, quote, "Now I feel like if I take it, I'll be doing politics," end quote. Barack Obama went on Colbert and said it was a screw up that he never gave Dolly one. She had two chances to stand in the East Room next to a man who mocks people for a living. She said she'd rather stay in Pigeon Forge and mail her books. And her one rule about politicians from her own song a couple of years ago, quote, "Greedy politicians, present and past, they wouldn't know the truth if it bit them in the ass." That's her platform. She didn't need to say she was a progressive. She didn't need to say she was part of a party. She simply put her money where her mouth was. And one more story, because it's the one that explains a lot to me. 1974, wants to record "I Will Always Love You." At the time, she's a 28-year-old. So it could be the biggest thing ever to happen in her career. And the night before the session, Colonel Parker calls and says Elvis records it only if he gets half of the publishing, half of her song. Dolly Parton cried all night long. And then she said no. She waited 18 years to see Whitney Houston recording her song. And Dolly said she made enough money off of that one song to buy Graceland. That's the tough spirit. That's that woman. Don't sign your work over to the powerful man, no matter how big the room is. Own your stuff. And then compare her to the billionaires who spend their money on think tanks and real tanks. And tell me, who's the real radical there? Look, Dolly Parton never told you who to vote for, but she spent 40 years showing you what a government could look like if it loved you back. Independent media, we survive on your interaction. So leave a comment about what Dolly.
So, that being said, let me make sure my mic is on. That being said, rest in peace, Dolly Parton. When you look at all of these oligarchs and all of these tech millionaires looking out for themselves, their families, and their loved ones specifically, and The biggest idea that they have is a way to take all the jobs away from regular American people as they enrich themselves. The biggest projects they have are government contracts for war and things to fight war, and a new weapons of war. Um, Understand that while you're listening to our oligarch centered for-profit media that has been collected via this beloved deregulations that the Republicans love. This is what deregulation gets you. It gets you a large swath of businesses owned by one person or one entity. And the news that you are getting out is reflect is reflecting that every day. And I just really hope that you understand that all of these talking points and all of these things that you are seeing expounded on a lot of these channels, I want you to ask yourself when these newscasters are out here calling themselves making a point on someone who is running for office in your state. Ask yourself, what point does that question have to do with you and how you live your life? Ask yourself, if you're the official who is running for office in your state, how important is their answer to the question that this for-profit media is asking officials who are trying to run for office? Are anybody questioning the officials who are running for office what is going to better the way you live your life in America? If they don't, why are you watching them? I appreciate everybody who have watched me. Please share, subscribe. This is why they say that independent media is very important because we are getting a whole lot of junk out here in this for-profit media, a whole lot of distractions, a whole lot of ways. Now, your Supreme Court has ruled that, in fact, Donald Trump, federal government, his buddy who used to work in waste management, who is now the postmaster general, will now be able to pull your mail-in ballots off of the machines and not mail you your mail-in ballots. Not because they have found any mail-in fraud, just in case. A 6-3 ruling by the conservative Supreme Court has ruled that people from the actual post office will be allowed to pull your ballots in the midterm. So the game is being rigged, sorely rigged. So, and we'll talk about even if these Democrats go ahead and win their seats. There is also talk about any seat that goes from red to blue that they are going to contest confirming the votes for these seats. So it is not over by far. So I hope you guys have a great remainder of your day. Yeah, it seems that way. I hope you guys have a great remainder of your day, and share this video out. I'll see you back here on Friday. If we have breaking news on tomorrow, I will be here tomorrow. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. God bless you.
Take a seat and go meet Ronnie. Sweet, 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 sweet Ronnie. No day complete without my Ronnie. She can't be beat. Sweet, sweet Ronnie.
Bye bye.